Welcome to the Big Success Show. Today, saving for retirement with a stingy employer.
You're overwhelmed, so much to do. It seems like such a mess. If only you had coaches who could bring you big success. Bring you big success. So lean right in, learn how to win. Entrepreneur nurturing. Tips to be your best. With a professor and Mary-Lynn for your big success.
Man, I got to tell you, saving for retirement is harder than ever.
It is.
Part of that is because more and more companies are putting more and more of the burden on their employees.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. And that's what we're going to talk about today, how you can respond to this shift. And our show today is inspired by a New York Times article written by Nelson Schwartz and Michael Corcoran.
Hi, I'm George Kruger, also known as the Professor.
And I'm Mary-Lynn.
Pop quiz!
What? Did you just say pop quiz?
I did, Mary-Lynn.
Oh my gosh, the professor's throwing a pop quiz to the unprepared student. Great.
That's the idea of a pop quiz. See how prepared you are.
All right.
So here's the thing. I'm going to ask you to name a company. Name this company, all right? And I'm going to give you 5 clues. I'd like you to wait until the end to name the company. Okay, so take them all in. The first hint, the first clue is they're a retail giant.
Okay.
This company is a retail giant. 2, they ship millions of products by mail.
Oh, I think I know what it is.
3, they started with a single product or product line. 4, they've since they started, they added a whole variety of products. And 5, they started opening brick and mortar stores. Who am I talking about?
I think you're talking about Amazon.
You would think that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And actually, it is Amazon, but it's also Sears. Amazon and Sears have a lot in common.
Except for now, Amazon is dominating Sears, right?
Yes, Amazon is the dominating Sears. And another thing, as the article notes, and been a lot of kind of press about this lately, that, Amazon and the way they compensate their employees is far cry different than the way Sears did at the same time in their history.
Right. And in fact, to some degree, affects the competitiveness that Sears can have because they have paid their employees and still are paying retirement to their employees.
They're called legacy costs. And I got to tell you, I went back to, I found an annual report for Sears from 1940. And it's so interesting. I would, anybody who's interested at all in what we're talking about here, we got a link on our site. It's a fascinating read. It's 12 pages long, whereas their Sears current annual report is hundreds of pages long. But the thing that just struck me is how they just keep talking about how they're helping all these different people who are involved in their business, from vendors to customers to shareholders, but also their employees. And they're very proud of the fact that their employees' real wages were rising. That was a huge point to them. And also that they had actually created what they called Sears Social Security 20 years before our country even had Social Security.
Wow.
So, they're very, very proud of all of these things. And unfortunately now we're seeing kind of the death of these things in terms of companies thinking this way.
Right, because companies said, the wages aren't what they used to be, but the bottom line is through the roof.
Yes.
Right. So they've got great numbers to report to the shareholders.
In many cases.
Right. Employees, they don't end up with a nest egg.
But I want to hasten to add this, Mary-Lynn, in case we think that, we're just catching Sears at its peak. This was the golden era of Sears, which it's not actually, it was still coming. And in fact, it was 1969 when they started building the Sears Tower, which is generally considered the pinnacle. Once it was built and there was the Sears Tower, the tallest building in the world, Sears owned it. That was kind of the pinnacle of Sears' success. So, that's still 3 decades later, essentially.
Now, the Willis Tower.
Yes.
Right. So why, this is Sears, this is Amazon, one compared to the other. Why the shift? Why is it that employees aren't taken care of the way they used to be?
Well, I will tell you that I have to plead to be in part of the group that created the problem. Meaning, I'm in the finance world. I teach in the finance world. I teach entrepreneurial finance. This mindset that we're about to talk about is all a part of financial economics. And so this mindset is that the primary goal of the firm is to maximize shareholder wealth. Okay?
Because that's where we are right now.
That's where we're at right now. And I will tell you, most people in the finance world think that is absolutely 100% correct. And theoretically, it is correct.
Why?
Theoretically. Because, I mean, literally it takes an hour or more to talk about this. Okay? So just trust me on that one.
Okay.
That theoretically it's correct.
Just trust the people who made the mess?
Well, what I mean by that is it's not relevant, it's not germane to understanding why it's a problem.
Okay.
It's a problem. Let's not get into all the good parts of it, because ultimately this problem is what causes the bad behavior. Okay? Incorrect behavior or unprofitable behavior in terms of the whole group of stakeholders with the company. Okay? If I focus in on any one group, I'm going to have problems. Okay?
Focusing on any one group.
If I have, so let's just think about this. There's vendors, there's a community, there's employees, there's customers, there's shareholders, there's management. Okay. There's 6 groups, okay? Let's just say that's 6 kids. If I play favorites to one of those kids, the other 4 or 5 are going to be unhappy. If it's knowing that I play favorites. Theoretically, what this theory says, this maximizing shareholder wealth.
You make the shareholders the favorite.
You make the shareholders the favorite, but that's because they're the last in line. They get the last piece of it. So they're going to watch out for everybody kind of keeping things in balance.
Okay.
Okay, that's why this idea is theoretically correct, because that is absolutely correct. Yeah, it's the same way entrepreneurs...
I never heard it explained that way
It's
before.
The same thing entrepreneurs think about. Entrepreneurs actually fall in even behind shareholders, okay?
Right.
So
pay myself last.
We're the absolute last in line.
Right.
And the only way that it works for us is if everybody else is happy. But here's the difference, though, between corporate thinking and entrepreneurial thinking. Corporate thinking, and this is why it's a problem, this is why it causes people to make bad decisions. They're making good decisions from their point of view and from this vantage point of increasing shareholder wealth. But here's the problem. It's a short-term thing. This theory, in order for it to really work, it requires a long-term mindset in a short-term minded world. Meaning, corporate chieftains are often thinking of the next 90 days because they got to report their earnings to Wall Street. And so there's this constant pressure on earnings, which is good, but yet it's bad when it's all about the short term. And people make very bad decisions. We all make very bad decisions if our only horizon is 90 days.
Well, that was a lot of information, so thank you for that,
yes.
Professor. So
that won't be on the quiz.
The bottom line is that the bottom line is just going to continue to be the issue, and for whatever reason, employee wages, benefits, retiring with a nest egg, that is not in the cards right now.
Well, I will say this: if our economy gets strong enough, yes, it will be.
Okay.
And we're close right at this moment in time.
Right, because it would be competitive, and then now as a company, you've got to compete to get the workers.
That's the ticket.
All right. But in the meantime, and
Yes.
even if that does happen, because
Correct.
it can always change,
Correct.
we really do need to take control of our own future and make
Absolutely.
sure that we're preparing ourselves for our retirement. So what are some things that we could be doing to ensure that?
Well, and you're kind of hinting at this, Mary-Lynn, but let me just say it explicitly. The first thing is this. Run your life like a business. If we think of it as a business, the one thing that we want to think about is how do we increase our revenue? Okay? As people, we talk about it as salaries or wages, but it could be a side gig. It could be any number of things, but how can we increase our revenue?
Our incoming money.
Yes.
The incoming money to our household.
That's one thing, because in the long run, we can only improve ourselves, our situation, as much as we increase our earnings, okay, in the long run. The second thing, so first, run your life like a business. Secondly, engage in lifelong learning. Make lifelong learning a part of your life.
What in particular should we be learning?
Specifically, people are going to hate this. Learn to sell. Learn to sell everything that you need or everything that you want.
I thought if you only have to be in sales.
No, we all have to sell. We all have to sell to get a date, to get married, to get a car loan, to get a house loan, to
get a raise.
To get a raise. Yes. So learning to sell and understanding how to sell, the tips and techniques of the trade, really important. Next, learn how to negotiate. It's absolutely vital too. Yeah. And I mean, Women particularly don't seem to like to negotiate in many cases. Man, this is so important for everybody. Everybody needs to learn to negotiate. Some of that is arming yourself with facts, like if you're going in to talk to your boss about a raise. But then the other part of it is really just having the right things to negotiate, which brings us to the third lifelong learning area, and that is marketing yourself. Okay? So here's the deal. You may do the most wonderful thing for your company and for your boss. But if your boss doesn't really know it, it's as if you didn't do it at all.
Yeah.
So you got to get really good at learning how to showcase yourself to your boss and your company without looking like you're showboating.
Yeah.
Okay? So that you tick off all your fellow workers.
That's the art of selling, right?
Exactly. and so the thing here is, we've got to make sure that we're looking for those opportunities where, wow, you know what? I could save the company $100,000 there. Or, hey, I could help the company generate an additional $100,000 revenue there.
Right. Or even it's just that, you're really good with customer service and there's compliments that come in. And maybe you could just you document those things so that when you go sit down and negotiate, you could say, hey, look, you need me because that my value to the company is helping to make sure that our customers are happy in return.
Yes.
So just making sure to pay attention to the things that you do really well and document them so that you can use them to your advantage.
And that's a great point, Mary-Lynn. And so we're gonna quickly, we could actually do a whole show on this, but we'll quickly say, so there's two ways you can do this. One is empirical, which is if I save the company $100,000, maybe I could at least get a $10,000 bonus. Okay, maybe I get 10% of it. If you don't have empirical, go to what you're talking about, anecdotal. Bring in stories. Bring in people who are telling stories about you. The third thing is always, always, always think taxes. You always got to be thinking about taxes and the effect of taxes. And so,
wait, is this part of lifelong learning?
This is the third point of the things you need to do to prepare yourself.
Okay.
Because if we can tax optimize, in other words, if we can pay the minimal tax, we're better off. How do we do that? Talk to your financial advisor. We strongly urge and recommend that you have a financial advisor and understand then where should you put your money. You don't have a 401k at work at all? All right, well then, do you put it in an IRA? Do you put it in a Roth IRA? Do you maybe put it in an HSA, a health savings account? This is what your financial advisor can help you understand so that you make the best moves tax-wise for yourself.
All right. So those were some things that you can do to prepare yourself for retirement so that you can have a nice nest egg and not rely on your stingy employer. What are some things that we could be doing right now?
Okay, I'm going to give you one. Just one.
Okay.
Most important. First step. All right. First step anytime. Understand your money flows. All right. Before we even worry about getting new revenue, understand your money flows, because here's why.
So what's coming in, what's going out?
What's coming in and what's going out. Yes, because here's the deal. You want to review your costs. And why is it your costs are so important? Before we even think about revenue, we want to review our costs, because here's the deal. Rather than just focusing exclusively on getting new revenue, what I really want to do is I want to make sure there's no leaks in the plumbing system. Mm-hmm. Okay? In other words, there's not money going out that I don't really want going out. That I've reviewed my costs and I said, you know what? Yeah, we want this cost. Or, no, we don't want that cost. We're getting it so that we're maximizing the amount of money that we get from each new dollar of revenue. Mm-hmm. And once we got that done, now we go after new revenue, realizing that we've got all the leaks fixed. So that more money is going to flow to the bottom line to help us do more good, to save for our retirement, and also save and pay for all the other dreams we may have.
Oh, that makes absolute sense.
Good. So now here's the cool thing. We've got a tool that's going to help you do that. It's going to help you do just that. Talks about your money flows, talks about, where you can cut costs, and you get to see
how and where to find those leaks.
Yes, where to find those leaks, and it helps you understand scientifically. This is no guesswork. This is where the world is at right now. You can compare your finances to people who are making the same kind of money that you make. We call it the Financial Freedom Tool.
You can learn more about it at financialfreedomtool.com. And that brings us to today's big takeaway.
Don't rely on your employer for your retirement. Nobody will look out for your future like you.
We thank you so much for listening today. Until next time,
here's to your big success.
Tips to be your best with a Professor and Mary-Lynn for your big success.
Find big success at biggsuccess.com.